What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you are doing well. And you know, fall is a bittersweet time for us sneakerheads because on the bright side, football is back. Baseball's in its postseason. The NBA, the NHL is about to kick off again. But for sneakerheads, there's the bitter side. And that's, well, if you're like me and like most sneakerheads, you know, maybe you're not a freak about keeping your sneakers super clean, but you definitely don't want to wreck them earlier than they have to be. And this weather just can get wet and nasty quick. So a lot of those white uppers, white midsole type shoes, or, you know, your more precious grail type shoes are probably not going to come out very much once you get into October. And that leaves us with what to do. And in this video, I have what I think is a perfect fall sneaker, and it's not even that expensive. I mean, it's cheaper than a Jordan 1, around the same price as an Air Force, I think, depending on which model you get. You can't go wrong. And I'm talking about today, the Nike Blazer Mid 77 in the Orewood Brown Colorway. And when I first saw this thing, I was like, that just says autumn to me. Not fall, autumn, because it's elevated. Jeez, this guy. But first, let's take a closer look. Alright guys, now that you've seen these babies up close and personal, I mean, you can kind of tell right off the bat. We're going to get into the design and the materials first because there's not much to talk about technology or structurally wise with the Blazers. This is a reproduction of a very old shoe that's been around for a very long time, and what you're looking at essentially is rubber and leather or canvas, depending on what they happen to use. And in this instance, we have an all leather upper. Now, it's a pebble grain leather, but it doesn't feel necessarily super high end. It feels good though, especially for the price point. And I love this leather upper. Sometimes you'll get canvas uppers, like I said. There are a lot of different material changes that happen with Blazers as you go from model to model. And this one definitely gives off a higher end vibe. So you've got the suede, which is probably, you know, not real suede, but that's beside the point. You got a suede mudguard along the top of the toe box here, and that little asymmetrical shape type mudguard going along the lateral side here as well, which is a hallmark in a lot of Blazer shoes. And then that is color matched with the leather and what they're calling Orewood Brown. But the high end aesthetic doesn't stop there. You've got a snakeskin replica print swoosh, which is also done in a leather, probably a faux leather, but it looks like a nice snakeskin. And then even the laces have that little bit of a higher end feel. I've talked about how with the kill shots that they have a retro type of feel on the laces. They're a little bit thicker, kind of fuzzy. They're a woven lace, but they feel a little looser. This one is that really tight knit feeling lace that you kind of see when you look at those higher end sneakers that cost way too much money and you shouldn't buy them because the leather is usually not that good. But when you see those higher end sneakers, they will usually use this tighter knit type of lace that gives it that higher end feeling, and they've even capped it off with some nice metal tips with a Nike swoosh on them. And what's also dope about these higher end looking laces is you don't just get one pair. These come packed with a pair of orange laces, and the shade looks like it's a little bit of a sunburnt orange, but again, to me, it pairs perfectly with that fall aesthetic, and this is a nice clean look matching the midsole and the swoosh here. But then you pop in these orange bad boys, and now you got yourself a fall sneaker with maybe a little bit of a spooky season aesthetic. I mean, I love this shade of orange. It looks fantastic, and it looks really nice with this Orewood Brown. And really, it does kind of set this off and elevate that a little bit more because, as we know, Blazers are more or less an economy Nike sneaker. They're not as expensive as Jordan 1s or any other type of, you know, Nike basketball or running sneakers. They're not quite as cheap as a pair of kill shots, but at the same time, there's just not a Blazer that's really going to break the bank. So they're definitely an economy type of sneaker, and they're not going to blow your mind in comfort, but they are going to look good when paired with the right fit. And that's, to me, where this thing shines. I mean, you even get some brass colored eyelets at the top, again, trying to denote more luxurious feelings when you look at this sneaker, and that's even carried into the collar here around the top of the heel. They could have just gone with a regular type of cotton padded material like they do in a lot of different sneakers, but this one again has a woven textured cotton or fabric over that, and it just feels that much nicer when you look at it. And moving around to the back of the sneaker, you will see that classic Nike Nike block lettering like you see on a lot of blazers and kill shots. And typically on this area, it's that applique type of text that they put on there. You could probably just peel off if you tried hard enough. Now, this still has that, but the letters are debossed into the leather. So again, just feels nicer. I mean, the back of this, especially around the top here, this feels really nice. It almost has that kind of like leather armchair feel and look to it. And that color, that Orewood Brown color, definitely lends to that. I feel like you could throw this thing up on a shelf in like a fancy cigar room and no one's gonna like notice. It's just gonna look like part of the decoration. One of my other favorite elements of this sneaker is the type of white they use. It's not a bright white by any means. It's a slightly off-white. Maybe you could call it a cream, but that color is carried from the midsole where it's a touch brighter, but it's carried nicely through the laces and this material up here, which again, like I said, are the nice woven higher end feeling materials, and it all matches very nicely even into the swoosh. And then they hit you with a little bit of accent along the front of the toe here in what appears to be pretty much a gum color, and that's carried into the outsole as well. So you could probably just call this a gum sole, but you can tell it's just a shade or two duller than your traditional gum sole, which can look a little more pink. This takes on a little bit more of a sandy brown color, and again falls into this nice aesthetic that we're looking for the fall time. And that's why I think this shoe matches so well with so many different fall-based fits that you may be looking to rock. And because of this dark brown, because of this slightly off-white midsole, these are going to hold up a lot better in those wetter, dirtier conditions you may find yourself in, where you don't really want to get your $200 plus retro sneaker dirty. You can just rock these things, beat them into the ground, and with this darker leather, it's probably going to look a little bit better with a little bit of creasing and a little bit of wear, as long as you're keeping it clean, wiping it down. I mean, you can really give this a decent patina depending on the quality of this leather. Now, it's probably not going to be able to take a beating for very long, but I think in the short term, for maybe a season or two, you can get away with beating these up a little bit and getting a nice little patina on this leather. And that takes us to the fits and why you should rock this in the fall time, and why to me it speaks to me as a fall type of sneaker. You can pair this with all of the earthy type colors, the browns, the tans, and then your dark blues, your forest greens, all those type of colors that you're gonna rock in the fall time, whether that be maybe a flannel, maybe a vest, some outerwear, darker jeans you can pair these with. You really can't go wrong. Even with some grays you can pair this sneaker with, and it's just going to give it that nice icing on the cake for the fall fit aesthetic. And that's why for me, this is probably going to be one of the few sneakers I wear out is in the inclement weather, because I don't like to get most of my sneakers beat up and dirty fast. So this one though, at this nice price point, is one that I'm okay with getting a little bit dirty and trying to maintain it through this wet and kind of soggy season. So to sum that up, that is why I love this sneaker. I think it just pairs really well, and it gives off a much higher end aesthetic than the price point would suggest. So you don't got to go and waste your money on one of those boutique high-end sneaker brands that are using Italian leather and charging you $200, $300, $400, $500 for a pair of low-top sneakers with like nothing going on there. As far as sizing goes with the Blazers, this is something to keep in mind, especially if you're someone like me that has a flatter foot, a little bit of a wider foot. These bad boys are pretty narrow, so you might want to size up a half size, maybe even a full size, to get a little bit more width. And there's probably going to be a little bit more room in the toe box when you do that, but this is a casual use sneaker. It's pretty much going to be a more of a comfortable, looser fit, as opposed to like, this is way too big for my foot. So that's what I do with the Kill Shot OGs. I go to a full size up, and with these, I go a half size up. And there's still a little bit of inward pressure, but I can tolerate it for like 4 or 5 hours. You know, I'm not going to be doing anything for that long term with these shoes on. I'm not going to be doing any intensive walking in shoes like this. So depending on what I'm doing, I will judge accordingly on whether I'm going to break these bad boys out. And so that does it for me, guys, on this video of the Nike Blazer Mid 77s in the Orewood Brown colorway. And I love the aesthetic that Blazers have, though, because they're a little bit more of a narrow sneaker, I don't always go for them. But when I saw this colorway for the season that we are currently in, I had to have this bad boy here, and I will continue to rock this on drier days in the winter and into the spring as well, until things really dry up and get nicer. this is one of those sneakers that can go the distance for you in these colder, wetter, semi-nastier months. So with that being said, I recommend you get your hands on these if you haven't already. Prices shouldn't be going crazy, and let me know down in the comments below if you plan on getting a pair, if you already have a pair, and what you are pairing them with. So with that being said, if you are new here, I appreciate you sticking it out all the way to the end. Consider joining the family. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We are but a small channel, a humble channel, but we are getting there. We are growing every day, and I'd love to have you guys along for the ride. We talk sneakers and sneakers only. We might branch out into the future. So let me know down in the comments also what you guys want to see me cover, and I will do my best and give you the best possible content I can. And with all that being said, hope you have a good day, good evening, good night whenever you are watching this, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.